Ever laughed with a crowd while your soul was screaming in silence? Said, "I'm doing great," when your world was tilted off its axis? Worn a costume so long you forgot the face beneath the fabric? Most of us learn the lie too late. That armor, ice and strength it a prison. You nod when you're drowning. You smile when you're splintering. You wave off concern with, "Don't worry about me." And the world, relieved to see you intact, walks away. They never peer behind the curtain. And the cruelest irony? When the costume finally tears, they whisper, "Why didn't you ever say something?" But what if the crack in your armor is actually the only way light gets in? What if honesty, messy, trembling, unpolished honesty, is the key that unlocks every real connection you've ever craved? This is a story about a woman who buried herself alive, and the single sentence that dug her out. If you've ever felt invisible in a room full of people who love you, keep watching. Her name was Elena. To everyone she knew, Elena was the anchor. The one coworkers emailed when they were stuck. The one her mother called when the anxiety spiraled. The one at Sunday gatherings who remembered everyone's name, asked about their sick pets, their job interviews, their marriages. "How've you been, Elena?" they'd asked. And Elena, reflexively, like breathing, "Oh, busy, but good. Really good." Inside, the water was already over her head. Her marriage to David had gone quiet. Not angry, just absent. He came home, ate dinner, scrolled his phone. They slept on opposite edges of the bed, a continent between them. At work, her inbox was a dam about to burst. Deadlines stacked like planes circling an airport. Her closest friend, Rachel, had transferred to another state, and the texts had slowed, then stopped. Elena felt like a tree in an empty forest. But every morning, she painted on the smile. Every evening, she answered, "How was your day?" With, "Fine, tired, you?" One Thursday night, Elena stood in front of the bathroom mirror. Her reflection looked back at her like a stranger. She'd gained weight, lost sleep. Her eyes were hollow. She leaned close to the glass and whispered, "Who are you now?" No answer. The mask stared back. That night she lay next to David, the silence between them thick enough to choke on. She thought, I could say it. Just 3 words. "I'm not okay." But the words were locked behind a door, bolted with shame. What if he agreed? What if he said, "I know," and walked out? She swallowed the truth. Again. Weeks passed. Elena's smile became heavier than grief. At her son's school science fair, another mother chirped, "Elena, you're Superwoman. How do you juggle it all?" Elena grinned. "Coffee and chaos," she laughed. Everyone laughed. Inside, she was screaming, "I haven't slept 6 hours in a month. My husband feels like a roommate. I Google, how to disappear at 2 a.m. Help me." But the smile stayed sewn on. Then came a Sunday she'd never forget. The sermon was about confession. Not the religious kind, the human kind. The speaker said, "You cannot be loved if you cannot be known." Elena's chest tightened. After the service, an older woman named Margaret touched her elbow. Margaret had silver hair and the kind of wrinkles that come from decades of smiling. "Elena, sweetheart," she said softly, "how are you really?" Elena's mouth opened. The lie lined up behind her teeth. But something in Margaret's eyes, not curiosity, but recognition, broke the formation. "I'm not fine." Elena's voice cracked. "I'm actually really not fine." Margaret didn't flinch. She didn't offer a scripture or a solution. She just squeezed Elena's hand and said, "I know, honey. I see it. Let's sit." On that bench, Elena bled the truth. Her silent marriage. Her invisible exhaustion. The creeping sense that she was disappearing from her own life. Margaret listened. Didn't interrupt. Didn't diagnose. When Elena finally stopped, Margaret spoke 7 words that rewired her. Hiding doesn't protect you. It just postpones being found. Elena felt the first crack in the wall. She'd spent years terrified of being a burden. But a burden is something carried unwillingly. Margaret had reached out her arms. Elena had never let anyone carry anything. That evening, Elena walked through her front door. David was on the couch, remote in hand. She usually retreated to the kitchen, clattered pots, pretended everything was orderly. Instead, she sat beside him. "David." Her voice was barely audible. "Can we talk?" He muted the commercial. Looked at her, really looked. "I'm not okay," she said. "Our marriage isn't okay. And I've been so afraid to say it that I think I've made it worse." She braced for anger, for deflection, for silence. David's eyes glazed. He put the remote down. "I know," he whispered. "I feel it too. I just didn't know how to find you anymore." They didn't solve everything that night, but they started. Two strangers on a couch, learning each other's language again. The next morning, Elena's manager called her in. "We need you to lead the Westbrook campaign," he said. "It's a fire. You're the only one who can put it out." Elena felt the old reflex twitch. Say yes, smile, survive. She inhaled. "I hear that you trust me, and I'm grateful. But I'm running on empty. If I take this, something else will collapse. I need you to know my limit." Her manager blinked, then nodded. "Okay, I'll reassign. And Elena, thanks for telling me. I can't fix what I can't see." She walked out lighter, as if she'd put down a suitcase she'd been carrying for years. Over the next months, Elena practiced the terrifying art of honesty. She told her sister she couldn't host Thanksgiving. She told a friend she was struggling with loneliness. And something shifted. Her sister didn't resent her. She ordered pizza and brought wine. Her friend didn't judge. She confessed her own therapist visits. Elena's truth gave others permission to exhale. 3 months later, Margaret invited Elena to her small apartment. "You look different," Margaret said, pouring tea. Elena touched her own face. "I feel different. I still have bad days. But they're just days now, not identities. I don't have to perform fine anymore. And that feels like oxygen." Margaret smiled. "You've learned it. Real strength isn't never breaking. It's letting the cracks show so someone can help you rebuild." Elena looked out the window. Her marriage wasn't perfect, but it was real. They were in counseling. They had awkward, essential conversations. Work still stressed her, but she'd stopped pretending to be superhuman. Her friendships had texture now, not just polish. She was no longer the woman in the mirror, asking, "Who are you?" She knew. If you're watching this, and you recognize yourself in her silence, the one who always says, "I'm fine," the one who never wants to inconvenience anyone with your pain, hear me. You are not too much. You are not a burden. You are a human being having a human experience, and half of that experience is sometimes falling apart. Real courage is saying, "I need help," before you're in the rubble. The people who truly love you, they don't need your performance. They need your presence. And they can't meet you where you're pretending. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting until the mask is welded to your skin. One honest sentence, "I'm struggling," can redirect an entire life. You are not alone in your exhaustion, but you will remain alone in it if you keep nodding and smiling. If this story echoed something in your chest, please subscribe to Daily Tale Dose. And leave a comment below. When was the last time you said, "I'm fine," when you weren't? What would it take to tell the truth next time? Share this with a friend who always seems to have it together. They might need it more than they'll admit. You don't have to have everything figured out. You just have to be brave enough to be seen. God bless. And remember, "I'm not okay" isn't a surrender. It's the first real breath after holding it for years. See you in the next one.